most iconic Hollywood couples has problems just like everyone else. Everybody on the internet in 2014 remembers when news of Jay-Z's infidelity hit the stands. I mean, he didn't really admit to it until 2017, but 2014 was the year of the elevator fight with Beyonce's sister Solange, and that was the kind of incident the press could only concoct in their wildest dreams. On top of that, it happened at/after the Met Gala, of all events, so yeah, the tabloids were working overtime trying to figure out what exactly would compel Beyonce's sister to attack Beyonce's husband in an elevator. First, we got the video of the incident, and then the pictures seemingly taken afterwards, and in those, Solange is strutting without a smile, Jay-Z is holding his face, and Beyonce, well, she almost looks proud. Yeah, it wasn't long before rumors were spreading through every corner of the internet. Nothing was off the table. However, most centered around the idea that Jay-Z cheated. Once that was the widely accepted theory, the question went from why to who. I mean, I guess there was still a why. Why would you ever cheat on Beyonce? But pretty soon people wanted to know who Jay-Z allegedly cheated with. Beyonce left clues on her 2016 album Lemonade when she sang about Becky with the good hair, and one woman ended up seemingly confessing on her social media shortly after, Rachel Roy. Roy decided to post a photo with the caption, "Good hair, don't care," and it has baffled people ever since. Because she deleted it shortly after and said in a statement that she wasn't the mistress and the post was just a joke. But that's like the worst prank ever. Why would you want people to think, even for a second, that you are the person that Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce with? Beyonce's fanbase, especially at this time, was ruthless. Why would you ever want the Bayhive in your comment section like that? Also, if she was the girl, why would you post that in a proud way about that kind of thing? Anyways, she later said that she wasn't Becky with the good hair, but her Instagram post, it did some damage. People still think she was the mistress even almost 10 years later. Of course, she mustn't be confused with Rachel Ray, because that did happen. Poor Miss Rachel Ray probably woke up in the morning more confused than she ever had been. But it wasn't Rachel Ray, it was Rachel Roy. While Rachel Roy is the internet's top suspect as Jay-Z's mistress, that doesn't mean she was the only one accused. Rita Ora was another popular choice. She was signed to Jay-Z's label in 2008, so she did know the man personally, but the big thing was she had posted a Snapchat of herself in a lemon bathing suit, which everyone thought was shade towards Lemonade the album. Plus, in the photo that made the rounds online, she was wearing a necklace with a letter J. That does look bad. However, Ora was later asked about this in an interview, and she insists that the necklace was actually an R. She claims that someone like photoshopped the J, or it was just like a small R flipped around and it just looked like a J in that way. And when you look at other photos of her pictures where she's wearing the necklace, that does appear to be the case. She also shared that the lemon top was part of some brand that she was working with. The timing wasn't great considering it came just a few days after the album drop, but Ora claims that it was all pure coincidence. One Reddit user has done some super sleuthing into who Jay-Z's mistress could have been, and it isn't anything like you've ever heard before, like Rita Ora or Rachel Ray, but instead former Miss Belgium Claudia Schillen. The Reddit user xfoxmcleod2x really put in the work to prove their theory. They referenced Jay-Z's tour dates from 2013 in Europe to the distance he would be from certain locations. They dug back in time for tweets that Claudia had made about it all. Some news sites reported on Jay-Z's alleged time with Claudia at the time it happened, and from those gossip sites we have quotes from Claudia talking about how Jay-Z bought her and her group champagne, he was allegedly calling her beautiful. The Reddit user has presented the theory that Jay-Z was involved with many people before that 2014 elevator fight, and that Claudia was either one of them or she knew something about it and signed an NDA. Claudia has denied any intimate involvement with the rapper. It turns out Becky with the good hair might not be who you think she is. Becky, especially at the time Lemonade came out, was slang for a white woman with a narrow worldview. When Beyonce sang this line about Becky, everyone quickly scoured the internet for a white woman that she could be referencing. But Becky isn't just the name for a person, it's also the name of a song by rapper Plies. His song Becky is quite explicit, but in it he equates the word Becky to intimate acts. Black social media users have shared that within the black community, the term good hair can sometimes mean a hair type. Antisocial Dreamer on Reddit said typically type 3 hair. They theorized that Beyonce wasn't necessarily referring to one famous Becky, but instead that Jay-Z was getting intimate with just someone else while they were married. So not denying the affair rumors, but just that she wasn't being specific about the person and instead about the act that that person would have performed. A Jay-Z cover-up conspiracy has taken online forums by storm. The theory suggests that Jay-Z and Beyonce named their daughter to to cover up one of Jay-Z's past relationships. Yeah, so Jay-Z dated music artist Blue Cantrell in 2001. They didn't date very long, but it was long enough that people caught wind of them being together. You might notice that Cantrell and Jay-Z's daughter, they share a first name. They're spelled differently, but they sound the same. People think that it's a little bit odd to have a daughter with the same name as an alleged ex, so a conspiracy was born from it, of course. Why do people think Jay-Z and Beyonce wanted to bury Cantrell? Well, at the time she was involved with Jay-Z, he was starting to get involved with Beyonce. Then an interview came out a couple years later when Cantrell claimed that she still had a crush on Jay-Z and didn't care who he was dating. She wouldn't make the first move, but if he made one, she wouldn't turn him down kind of deal. That wouldn't be a nice thing to hear about the person you're in a relationship with, but also this interview didn't go big. It was a random bonus feature on some random DVD, so there is a chance that Beyonce and Jay-Z never even saw it. So it seems like an extreme overreaction to bury someone over a crush. The true meaning of Blue's name, it comes from a nickname the family had given her over the pregnancy: Blueberry. You probably heard about Jay-Z's accusation alongside Sean Diddy Combs, but if you haven't, basically one of the cases against Diddy just added Jay-Z as the second of 3 people that intimately harmed them when they were young. The case against Jay-Z was later dismissed, and the third person is actually still a mystery, but this lawsuit came out right around when the new live-action Lion King movie, starring Jay-Z's daughter, came out last year, so there was a lot of press around it. Sources claimed that Beyonce and Jay-Z were in crisis mode over the accusation at the time. It wasn't a great moment for the couple because the victim was so young. Then he was being pictured out with his daughter, and then people were bringing up that Beyonce was very young when she met and married him, the age gap, it was messy. Now that Jay-Z's case has been dismissed, the latest connection he has to Diddy is that he was mentioned as witnesses just in a separate incident. One online theory suggests that Jay-Z once pierced someone over a past girlfriend, Charlie Baltimore. The drama of it all. About 25-ish years ago, Jay-Z was arrested at a club after he poked someone that allegedly leaked his album. Album leaks are a big deal today, but they clearly meant more back then since Jay-Z was ready to send someone to the hospital over it. Or was he? The theory is that both him and the leaker were involved with the same woman, Charlie Baltimore. So the incident was allegedly less about the music and more about romance. Of course, the only thing that is true 100% about this whole thing is that Jay-Z did get arrested that night, but the official reason for that arrest is all speculation. Carmen Bryant has claimed to have had a 9-year affair with Jay-Z. Now, this isn't recent. She isn't Becky with the good hair. It was actually all revealed in 2006. She claims that she got involved with Jay-Z while dating another rapper, Nas. She was a finance officer for a company related to Jay-Z's company. She claims her affair with him went from 1995 to 2004. She further claimed that she got pregnant during that affair and that it was Jay-Z's child. Unfortunately, she did miscarry, but later on she did have other kids. They were not Jay-Z's kids. It happened later. Jay-Z actually supposedly rapped about getting intimate with her and then leaving the remnants in one of her kids' car seats. She apparently lost respect for him after that one, and I don't blame her.
Hailey Bieber is on edge about Justin's recent behavior, and it's taking a huge toll on her. Over the past few months, the 31-year-old pop star has worried fans and friends after displaying troubling behavior on social media or even while out and about. The concern greatly increased over the Coachella weekends when something seemed off with him while attending the festival's festivities. He was with Hailey and his siblings, 15-year-old brother Jackson and 16-year-old sister Jasmine. Videos showed Justin smoking what appeared to be a blunt throughout the music festival. Now, that's not unusual for the singer nowadays, despite him swearing off illicit substances years ago. But many fans, felt he partied too hard because he looked more and more out of it as the night progressed. He was seen with his pants way too low, swaying side to side, eyes looking sunken in, just a big hot mess. Now, the big issue with that is he was with his underage siblings, and at one point viewers even think they saw Hailey pulling Jackson away. For his safety, we don't know, or maybe just for damage control for the world or fans. Either way, again, messy, messy, messy. Now, because of these videos, fans are positive all is not well with the Biebs, and they aren't the only ones who think so. Hailey reportedly does too. A Justin source said that things have gotten really bad lately, so much so that the Road founder has been sobbing as she's terrified about what will happen to her husband if something doesn't change soon. The insider shared, she's been in tears about his behavior lately. Things have gotten bad quickly. She's genuinely scared something bad is going to happen to Justin. Oh no, this sounds really worrisome to me, and many others too. Fans have taken to social media more than ever lately to express their worries. So many comments asking if Justin's okay, asking if he's relapsed, asking if they're getting divorced. It just doesn't end, but don't expect to see Hailey leave Justin over this anytime soon. She's staying by his side no matter what, says the source. They went on to say Hailey's very loyal to him. She's not walking away, but she knows something has to change. Her focus is raising Jack in a stable environment. She's drawn a line around what she's willing to tolerate. She means the world to Justin. They have quietly weathered more than most couples ever do. When Hailey Bieber stepped onto the Met Gala red carpet alone on Monday, it was the latest in a string of solo outings. Fans could see the media personality holding a glass of martini in her hand, and she waved her hands to the fans and posed for photographs outside the New York City hotel on her way to the red carpet. Now, in the meantime, Justin Bieber, who did not accompany her to the, soiree, was enjoying a game of hockey between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. Justin Bieber rarely does red carpet events anyway. He last attended the New York City event in 2021 with Hailey. Prior to that, he only attended back in 2015. So Justin's choice isn't a statement on the state of their marriage, but rather reflects the singer's year-long preference for staying out of the limelight. Now, aside from posting a ton of hockey stuff to his IG, he also later shared an Instagram of his wife that evening expressing admiration for her look of the night. Hey, missing the Met for a Leafs game, very Canadian. Very big fan, very demure. Kanye West and Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan went from condemning to fawning over Kanye West in an interview on his Piers Uncensored show, praising the rapper, even after West said he was absolutely not sorry for his anti-Semitic remarks. The rapper calls Morgan a Karen, adding, "You don't hold accountability to my pain." Morgan replied by saying, "I'm not a Karen, and I'm not going to cancel you, and I'm not going to censor you. I'm simply going to challenge you on what you're saying." As Morgan tries to call out West on his anti-Semitic remarks and that, it is basically racism, West denies it. He eventually gets so mad and storms out, leaving Piers alone to wrap up the interview by himself. R. Kelly and Gayle King interview. When Gayle King interviewed R. Kelly on CBS this morning, among the questions King asked during the 80-minute interview was about a stop Kelly made after his February 25th release from a weekend in jail on SA charges. In the interview, which was Kelly's first since he was arrested, the singer is at times emotional and at other times very explosive. You can see him get up from his seat, have a tantrum. He says he's basically fighting for his life, and he had a big old crocodile tears running down his face while Gayle tried to calm him down. It was just another low point and moment for him, providing the internet with unlimited content for memes and jokes on Saturday Night Live. Charlie Sheen. In a rather strange interview with ABC in February of 2011, the actor blasted Two and a Half Men creator Chuck Lorre and proclaimed he was not bipolar but bi-winning. He also called Lorre a turd and a clown, and during this interview, Charlie Sheen explains that he has tiger blood, and when he was asked the last time he used, he said, "I don't use, but I do use a blender and I use a vacuum cleaner," but ultimately he said he just can't remember the last time he used any illegal substances. From beginning to end, Sheen seems to celebrate his very obvious meltdown, leading many to fear for his actual physical and psychological health. Now, despite the controversy surrounding that whole interview, it gained him further popularity and actually gave the show the highest rating of the night. Boxer Mike Tyson went off on Toronto CP24 reporter Nathan Downer during a live interview. Downer brought up that the former athlete had met up with Toronto Mayor Rob Ford at the time and basically asked Tyson whether he thought his criminal record could damage his reputation of the mayor, who, by the way, actually admitted to smoking illegal substances during one of his drunken stupors. Tyson seemed very calm at first, but what came out of his mouth proved that the news host really got under his skin. He said to Downer, "You're being negative. You're really a piece of ish. F you." Now, Downer reminded Tyson that he was on live TV, but that didn't seem to faze the boxer, who basically responded saying, "I don't care. What are you going to do about it?" Now, the CP24 reporter tried to change the subject to Tyson's one-man show, Mike Tyson Undisputed Truth, but the celeb wasn't having it and continued to curse at Downer, calling him a rat piece of ish, and that was pretty much the end of the interview. Chris Brown. In 2011, his Good Morning America appearance began with a smile, but he ultimately left angry and shirtless. The interview itself is very brief, with Robin Roberts focusing mostly on Brown's past and public image rather than his new album, which is what he was there to promote. Now, on camera, Brown stays focused. He even performs a song, but backstage, however, things took a turn and went sour when Roberts began, a conversation again asking about Rihanna. Now, the interview came 2 years after he pled guilty to charges, and Chris Brown was clearly not pleased that his past just, kept being brought up. So Brown didn't appreciate Robin Roberts prying about the situation with Rihanna at all and all the hate he got. So he had a very public meltdown. Brown basically stormed backstage after the whole interview was done, ripped his shirt off, and smashed a window with a chair, causing it to shatter and, for shards of glass to basically fall on the street. Security was called to the scene, but by the time they actually arrived, a shirtless Brown was just already headed out the door. The Bee Gees in 1997, during their appearance on Clive Anderson All Talk, the Bee Gees found themselves at the receiving end of the host's jokes about their music. Within mere seconds of commencing the interview, Clive likened the group's distinctive high falsetto to Mickey Mouse and humorously suggested that the Bee Gees, renowned hitmakers, were only one letter shy of being hit writers. Now, the breaking point for Barry Gibb and his brothers, Robin and Maurice, came when the host actually forgot their hit records, prompting them to basically stand up and abruptly leaving the show. Joan Rivers. In 2014, the late Joan Rivers made headlines when she very dramatically exited a CNN interview. Now, CNN host Frederica Whitfield was accusing Joan of being mean in some of her harsh fashion critiques, which appeared to ruffle the comedian's feathers. Now, Frederica continued to challenge Joan as she said, "You're not really worried about feelings getting hurt." To which, Joan replied saying, "Well, not when it's about dresses. It's not about them. It's about the clothing," not backing down basically on her questioning. Now, touching on sensitive topics, appearing in Joan's book that she was promoting at the time, the guest made a very abrupt exit. But before abruptly walking out of her interview, Joan yelled at the interviewer and said, "Stop it with your mean this, your mean that. You are not the one to interview a person who does humor. Sorry." And she basically stormed out, left the interviewer shocked and in disbelief, asking, "Is this real?" Gary Coleman. Volatile performer Gary Coleman got himself back in the news again after walking off in the middle of an interview on The Insider. Now, Coleman refused to answer a question asked by panelist and attorney Lisa Bloom as to whether he has a toxic relationship with his wife. He suggested it was ridiculous as he is 4'7" and his wife is 5'6". He let it rip on Bloom before storming away, which was kind of unhelpful when you're trying to deny stories that suggest you may have issues in your relationship. The former Diff'rent Strokes star was arrested on an outstanding warrant after police received a domestic disturbance call from his house. It follows just, though, a string of stories in the media over domestic issues and run-ins with the law for him. Jennifer Lawrence appeared to have had a very stern word with a journalist who was using his phone during her winner's press conference at the Golden Globes. Now, the actress, who at the time won Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy for David O. Russell's film Joy, was speaking to a crowded room of reporters backstage when the moment occurred. The journalist in question was Juan Pablo Fernandez-Fio, who was covering the LA event for E! News. Now, as he began to ask his question, Lawrence interrupted, wagging her finger at him, saying, "You can't just live your life behind your phone, bro. You can't do that. You've got to live in the now." Now, as the crowd laughed, of course, Fernandez-Fio apologized before continuing. He said, "How do you see yourself for Oscar night?" Now, interrupting him again, Lawrence said, "We're at the Golden Globes. If you put your phone down, you know that." Now, it is believed that the reporter, who can be heard speaking with a very strong accent, was reading a question from his phone. While the reason behind the phone usage is uncertain, the reporter's Twitter account is full of retweets slamming the actress's actions. Was this one joke just a little too far for the actress? I mean, I think, yeah, because people took to social media to express their outrage and disgust over the situation, calling her rude. Billie Joe Armstrong. Now, if for 1 minute you thought Billie Joe Armstrong was Justin Bieber, he certainly put you straight at the 2012 iHeartRadio Festival. There's still quite some argument about what led to this rock star's outburst, but the general, gist is is that Armstrong and his band Green Day had been allotted a 45-minute set at the event, only to have their time cut short because Usher took up too much. If true, then it clearly didn't go down well with him. Armstrong launched into a very explosive-filled tirade that ended with him smashing his guitar on stage. The band later apologized, of course, for the incident, but we gotta say it was very rock and roll. Last but not least, we have David Hasselhoff. Now, in 2007, a video surfaced showing a very drunk and shirtless David Hasselhoff struggling to eat a hamburger while lying on the floor. These things all came together to form a recipe of pure WTF am I watching. Now, it turned out the Baywatch star's daughter, Taylor Ann, had made the video to show her dad the seriousness of his drinking problem. While it was not a fun experience for the Hoff, he later said the video played a very pivotal role in his recovery journey and acknowledged that the public exposure served as kind of a wake-up call. You know, as you watch the former Baywatch star at his absolute worst, you can hear his daughter pleading with him to stop drinking as he very clumsily eats the burger while sprawled out on the floor. So yeah, deeply undignified. The video, was a form of tough love. And, Hasselhoff was attempting to recover from his substance disorder, but, he was actually caught mid-relapse during what ended up being one heck of a meme-worthy wake-up call. Now, Hasselhoff's battles with, substance abuse go back to at least 2002 when he first entered rehab. So he briefly lost visitation rights after that video surfaced, but he since has had them restored. Now, as of this year, reports indicate that he remains committed to his sobriety. Throwing up in public is embarrassing for all of us, but doing it in front of thousands of fans, that is, well, thousands of times worse. In September 2012, during the opening night of his Believe tour in Glendale, Arizona, Justin Bieber was performing Out of Town Girl when he abruptly turned away from the audience and vomited on stage. He briefly exited, but soon returned to continue the show. What a trooper, right? But then, during his song Beauty and a Beat, he upchucked all over the stage again. Yikes. Bieber apologized to the crowd, claiming he was sick from drinking too much milk before the concert and asked the fans if they still love him despite him throwing up on stage. Of course, they all screamed, which clearly indicated that they would and do still love him. Jennifer Lawrence winning an Oscar is supposed to be a very glamorous moment, unless of course you wipe out on your way to accept it. That is what happened to Jennifer Lawrence at the 2013 Academy Awards when she tripped and fell to her knees while walking up the stairs to accept her Best Actress Oscar for Silver Linings Playbook. Upon finally reaching the podium, the crowd gave her a standing ovation, and she joked, saying, "You guys are just standing because you feel bad that I fell." And that's really embarrassing, but thank you. Not gonna lie, it was really embarrassing. But the fall and her good-natured way of handling the awkward moment led to people actually applauding her as refreshingly, kind of relatable. Honestly, winning an Oscar can be more cringy or embarrassing, as you will actually see next. That brings me to Adrien Brody. Winning an Oscar is supposed to help your career, not make people think badly of you. Unfortunately for Adrien Brody, that's exactly what happened. When his name was called as the winner of this year's Best Actor Oscar for his role in The Brutalist, Brody stood, pulled out his gum, and tossed it toward his partner Georgina Chapman before proceeding to go to the stage. Then, upon actually reaching the podium, he embarked on an unfocused and unextraordinary acceptance speech that would set a new record for its length, nearly 6 minutes long. Even when the orchestra mercifully attempted to play him off, Brody persisted, requesting the music be stopped. He even remarked, saying, "I've done this before, thank you, it is not my first rodeo." He previously actually won for The Pianist. Now, falling on the way to the stage doesn't actually seem so bad now, does it? Steve Harvey is up. The 2015 Miss Universe contest, where at the dramatic conclusion, host Steve Harvey declared Miss Columbia as the new Miss Universe. The crowd actually erupted in cheers. Miss Columbia beamed with excitement, and she was even crowned and handed flowers. But moments later, a visibly uncomfortable Steve Harvey returned and awkwardly admitted, saying, "I have to apologize. The first runner-up is Columbia. Miss Universe 2015 is actually Miss Philippines." Gas basically filled the room as pageant officials removed the crown from Miss Columbia's head and placed it on Miss Philippines. Harvey later said, "I took my stupid behind back out there. I should have let them announce it the next day in the newspaper. I wouldn't have caught none of the crap I caught." I mean, Steve, it was your mistake, so admitting it was the right move. And what century are you living in where the newspaper would announce it the next morning? It would have been all all over social media in like an hour or less later. Madison Pruitt is next. This one may escape you as she's not your typical celebrity, but if you're a Batch fan like me, you'll know her and likely know of this super cringe moment in time she wishes no one would see or remember. So in 2020, Madison Pruitt, a contestant on the show The Bachelor, appeared to leave a fawning comment on one of her own Instagram posts, writing, "Beautiful date, Maddie, you are so genuine and so real." It seemed that she intended to post the compliment from a fake fan account, but forgot to switch accounts. Fans on Reddit roasted her, saying nothing says genuine and real like having a fake Instagram account to comment compliments on your public one. And another person wrote, "OMFG, commenting without switching to a fan account of yourself is embarrassing enough, but commenting that you're so genuine and real is sending me. What a nightmare combination of cringe." Pruitt later claimed that it was a friend's comment mistakenly posted from her account. Sure, Maddie, sure. David Hasselhoff does not want you to see this leaked footage of him. In 2007, a video surfaced showing a drunk and shirtless David Hasselhoff struggling to eat a hamburger while lying on the floor. It turned out that Baywatch star's daughter, Taylor Ann, had made the video to show her dad, severity of his drinking problem. However, it was leaked to the public. While it was not a fun experience for the Hoff, he later said the video played a very pivotal role in his recovery journey and acknowledged that the public's, exposure served as a wake-up call. In a statement at the time, he said, "For me, it was actually a good sign because it was a wake-up call and it brought everything to a head. Finally, I just said, look, this has all got to stop." Hasselhoff's battles with alcohol go back at least to 2002 when he first entered rehab. He had a DWI in 2004 and he said his concern was mainly for his daughters. He actually briefly lost visitation rights right after that video surfaced, but he has since had them restored. Now, as of 2025, reports indicate that Hasselhoff remains committed to his sobriety. Next, we have Lindsay Lohan and her very bizarre Instagram Live video. Now, the Instagram Live sees Lohan approach an apparently homeless family who she identifies as Syrian refugees and that she is really worried about them. The actress initially offers to take the two young boys to a hotel to watch a film and suggests the children should not be on the floor. However, when the family refuses, the actress becomes increasingly hostile. She even said to the mother, "You should be a hardworking woman and you should be doing what you can for your children so they have a better life." After a few minutes, the family decided to actually pick up their belongings and move away from her. Towards the end of the 10-minute video, the interaction becomes physical as Lindsay is seemingly pushed to the floor by the mother. It is not clear where the video was filmed, but Lindsay had at the time tagged her social media posts to Moscow and Paris. Now, many responded angrily to the post and accused the actress of trying to basically take and steal the young boys, while others described the video as just shocking, disgusting, and very uncomfortable to watch. Heather Morris. Sometimes people can mean well, but still seriously embarrass themselves. Take Glee star Heather Morris, who in June of 2023 posted an interpretive dance tribute to George Floyd on social media. Yes, you heard that right, an interpretive dance tribute to George Floyd. And honestly, it sounds like something her Glee character Brittany Pierce would have done. Now, in the video, Morris performed in a very emotional dance set to spoken word audio addressing racial injustice. Now, while intended as a heartfelt tribute, many viewers found the performance insensitive and self-indulgent, criticizing Morris for making the tragedy about herself. One person wrote on Twitter, "This girl had not even one friend to tell her this was stupid." Heather Morris doing an interpretive dance to represent George Floyd's passing, I really thought I'd seen it all. Another person on X wrote, "I genuinely want to know what possessed Heather Morris to do this. Honestly, there's no doubt she wishes this one would have stayed in drafts, as we all wish too. I'm still mind blown." She posted it thinking, wow, yes, this is great. Next up, we have Kristen Stewart. This was a huge scandal back then as Kristen was dating Robert Pattinson, her Twilight co-star, and he was one of the most sought after men in Hollywood at the time. So in 2012, footage of Kristen kissing her Snow White and the Huntsman director went viral on the internet. He was married to model Liberty Ross at the time, who filed for divorce shortly after the affair came to light. Stewart received massive backlash for her act. She faced massive public scrutiny, and during one of the confessions, Kristen actually mentioned that she had no reason behind cheating on Robert. She was going through a very, self-destructive phase in her life when her affair with Rupert began. Rupert would go on the record as well and say that it was just a momentary lapse and said, "You never know what's coming in life. Around every corner there's something unexpected, and that's life." The Twilight lovebirds actually did give it another chance to love when they reconciled in October of that year, but things didn't didn't work out as they finally ended their long-term relationship in May of 2013. Last but not least, Fergie is up. Fergie, known for her work with the Black Eyed Peas, of course, performed a very slowed down, jazzy version of the Star Spangled Banner at the NBA All-Star Game. Now, the performance was met with a huge mix of confusion and amusement, with many finding it out of place and even in an inappropriate, sensual tone. The performance became a viral sensation, with social media users sharing memes and jokes about Fergie's rendition. Now, in response to the backlash, Fergie issued an apology, stating that she wanted to try something special for the NBA, but that her rendition clearly didn't strike the intended tone. Some speculated that Fergie was attempting to emulate Marvin Gaye's iconic 1983 All-Star Game performance, which was also a unique and bluesy rendition of the anthem. Golden State Warrior star Draymond Green was actually seen on camera cracking a smile during the performance, further fueling the social media buzz. Now, Charles Barkley joked that he needed a cigarette after Fergie's performance during the halftime show. She wishes this footage could disappear, but honestly, I'm glad it's still out there. It's a great pick-me-up when you need a good laugh. Now, who could forget footage from when Kim Kardashian told women in business they needed to get their ASS up and go to work? Well, no one, but Kim sure wishes it never got leaked and allegedly begged Variety magazine to not go forward with actually showing it. Now, the second this infamous interview got leaked, Kim faced immediate backlash and scrutiny. Kim, the daughter of famed lawyer Rob Kardashian and Hollywood socialite Kris then Kardashian, now Jenner, obviously very much born into privilege and wealth, trying to tell everyday folk to get up and just work, clearly did not sit well with anyone. Now, the footage got spread like wildfire and Kim almost shut down her socials for a whole month because of it. At some point, she tried to kind of pedal back and say her recent comments about work ethic and finding success weren't meant to be a dig at women, but that they were just the reality of working hard to achieve your goals when everyone else doubts you. Kim says the whole thing was taken out of context, telling Robin Roberts on Good Morning America, "My message was to anyone who wants to be successful in building a business or brand, having come from that very specific space. Reality show or social media fame is to work hard. It's not easy. You don't just post something on social media and overnight you become a success." A source who was there for the interview tells Kim that, she made it clear her comment was not directed at women, but it was a part of her own personal experience, saying, "After 20 years at this, I'm still put in the box of famous for being famous. I heard someone say that to me when we did that interview, and that's why my demeanor and tone shifted." Now, despite the fact that Kim was born into a very wealthy, well-connected family and skyrocketed to fame thanks to reality TV and a certain tape, cough cough, she explained that she thought the problem with people in business was that no one wanted to work. Something about Kim Kardashian saying, "Get your bleeping behind up and work." It seems like nobody want to work these days. You have to surround yourself with people that want to work and have a good work environment while everyone loves what they do. That just didn't sit right in anyone's soul. So, and while it's true that you have to work really hard to reap the benefits, it's definitely not as simple as that for people who aren't born into wealth and fame. Kim faced backlash from viewers who called her out for ignoring her upbringing's role in her success and how many people do work hard but aren't fairly financially compensated. Now, despite this footage being a couple years old now, it's still being talked about. It's still a hot topic, and it's still something that haunts Kimmy to this day. Kim's designer debacle. Now, Kimmy sparked some irritation from fans when she posted a now deleted video showcasing free goods she received from Dolce & Gabbana to her Instagram stories way back in January of 2019. Now, followers were outraged by the post, many pointing out that the controversial brand, has come under fire multiple times over the years, most notably though for a 2015 interview with Italian magazine Panorama, in which the designing duo Stefano Gabbana and Domenico Dolce referred to IVF babies as chemical offsprings and synthetic children. Really bad. And to know off that, Kim actually became pregnant with her second child, Saint, through IVF and her others as well. So yeah, it's kind of awkward. But people weren't pleased and very outraged, to put it lightly. Now, Dolce and Gabbana later apologized for this very inappropriate statement and said that they regretted it deeply, I'm sure. Kim Kardashian's Halloween costume had fans and onlookers saying, "Girl, what is you doing?" Now, Kimmy thought it would be a good idea to dress as Aaliyah for Halloween one year, and despite regretting, the decision, once the vids and pics got leaked, there was just no turning back. The costume specifically recreated the look from Aaliyah's Try Again music video, if you can remember that, which included a custom bra top and J-brand leather pants. So of course, people criticized Kim's costume, arguing that it was insensitive and disrespectful to Aaliyah, who was an iconic black singer and a cultural phenomenon. Now, the social media mogul issued an apology after many Twitter users basically called her, Halloween costume offensive back in October of 2017. Kim actually wrote on her website, "Aaliyah was such an amazing singer and she will be forever, a music legend. I saw online that some people thought my costume was in poor taste, and I am truly sorry if that offended anyone. We don't see color in my home. We were paying homage to people and artists we love and respect. It's that simple." Okay, Kimmy. Kim Kardashian shape-ups controversy is one for the books. Now, the breakup to shape-up commercial for Skechers that features Kim Kardashian, who tells her trainer she's basically leaving him because she's shape-upping instead, referencing Skechers Shape-Up's athletic footwear, caused the company to be sued to the gods by consumers. Now, she's seen saying goodbye to him, then complimenting another man wearing the same sneakers. Weird. The commercial, directed by Chris Applebaum, is a tongue-in-cheek take on a relationship breakup to promote the Skechers footwear. The commercial effectively links the Skechers Shape-Ups to a lifestyle change, potentially suggesting that the shoes will help viewers achieve their fitness goals, thus shape up. Skechers Inc. was forced to pay a whopping $40 million in refunds to customers in order to settle charges by the Federal Trade Commission that stated that the footwear company made unfounded claims about its shape-up shoes. Promoted through the use of Kim Kardashian, as a brand spokesperson, the shoes had promised to help people lose weight and strengthen their butt, leg, and stomach muscles, which obviously did not happen for consumers. Let's be honest, it didn't happen for Kim either. That's not how she got in shape. We know how she got her toned figure, for the most part at least. Now, the clunky shoes were supposed to tone, women's behind and thighs just from walking, but many customers were unhappy with the results, obviously. Now, the Better Business Bureau page featured dozens of complaints of back pain. Customers also said they didn't see the toning results that were promised. Now, after this huge debacle, Kim understandably was so embarrassed, to say the least, but also begged to have the commercials removed virtually everywhere, as she just didn't want anyone, including her own children, to have to see it one day. Well, fast forward, and unfortunately for Kim, the footage is alive and well, and although still cringe AF, she did poke fun at it in a TikTok video with her daughter Northwest. One of the stars, ads which showed her posing in a pink sports bra with a very controversial sneaker hovering beside her appeared on screen, while a soundbite exclaimed, "Bro, if you got Skechers on, get out of my face." The clip then cuts to Kim and North sitting beside one another on a couch as they kind of mouth the remainder of the audio, which was just bizarre gibberish. Kim Kardashian and her sisters Khloe and Kourtney were slapped with a $5 million lawsuit over Get Fit Quick diet pills and supplements from Quick Trim. The pills, which are supposed to allow users to keep up with the Kardashians, and trim physiques, didn't work, of course, according to legal documents. Now, that's a shocker, right? 4 customers claimed the Kardashians, made false claims when reporting through tweets and commercials that they used the products in order to slim down. They were seeking $5 million in damages for the deceptive marketing, claiming that the diet pill's main ingredient, caffeine, is not recognized as a safe or effective weight loss product by the FDA. Quick Trim advertisements show the Kardashian clan in very skimpy bikinis, flaunting their fit bodies while promoting the pills. The plaintiffs, who live in New York, California, and Florida at the time, stated in their lawsuit that the claims made by Quick Trim and by the Kardashians marketing, it was false, misleading, and just, substantiated. Now, they added there was no competent and reliable scientific evidence supporting any of the claims. The lawsuit, which was filed by the law firm of Bursar and Fisher, had to be certified by a judge as a class action complaint before it could actually cover a wider field of consumers than the 4 plaintiffs. Now, Quick Trim products, which range basically from pills to powdered drink mixes are designed to detoxify and clean the body by eliminating extra water weight and bloating, in large part because of the laxatives they include, according to the company. Now, the products are available nationwide at more than 25,000 retail chains, including Walmart, Walgreens, GNC, all those places. But many of Kim Kardashian's millions of Twitter fans tweeted at the time that, inspired by her, they were going to give it a try. Kim since hasn't promoted any weight loss pills for obvious reasons, of course. Now, she did, however, promote a Get Slim lollipop, which, had its own share of clapbacks and controversy. They never learn, do they? Kim was accused of styling her hair in a way that, came across pretty racist to many people. Kim has been accused of cultural appropriation at least 3 times in recent years, maybe more, after rebranding historic hairstyles. Now, the first time came in 2016 when she became obsessed with a look the family renamed boxer braids, but the hairstyle, which Kim actually was accused of taking, the credit for, was actually just cornrows, which is really famously known. Now, in 2018, she courted controversy again after renaming another hairstyle the Bo Derek. Culture experts told Allure magazine at the time they were actually Fulani braids and had been worn by black women for years, decades, centuries, even millennials. Now, Kim further sparked outrage again when she rocked braids for the MTV Movie and TV Awards. Twitter users actually fumed over the style being considered, very cool and stylish on Kim, but unkept and unprofessional on black women. Now, during an interview, Kim defended herself and claimed that she didn't see the backlash over her sporting braids in the past. She said, "I did that look because North said she wanted braids and asked if I would just do them with her."
Oprah Winfrey has been spotted in a video from 1998 inviting Hollywood stars to one of Diddy's infamous parties. Now, she appears in the video clip inviting guests to the star-studded bash, Diddy's 29th birthday, and she is joined by other well-known celebrities gushing over the star and his multi-million parties. Now, this is not a good look for Oprah. Now, Oprah has had many controversies throughout her life, but being involved with Diddy might be the final nail in the coffin when it comes to her career. She and Diddy have appeared together at numerous charity events, and Oprah has featured Diddy on her show, where they discuss not only his career, but also his charitable efforts. Now, this appearance helped elevate Diddy's message about social responsibility and community engagement, which is kinda ironic if you think back to it now. Now, this isn't the first time Oprah has been linked to some horrible men in the entertainment industry that have ended up behind bars. I mean, it's starting to become a pattern. When she was asked about this, she said she tried to focus less on the crimes and the victims' stories, and instead inside the bigger picture, which a lot of people had issues with. Her former friend Seal took to Instagram to call her out for her suspicious behavior. "You have been a part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you're the solution," Seal said. "Oh, I forgot, that's right, you heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually doing those things to young starry-eyed actresses. My bad," he said. Yikes. Now, it seems like Oprah definitely knew what was going on. What's strange is that Oprah has actually been a victim to the crimes Diddy has been accused of. You see, Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenage mother and grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising Oprah became too much for her mother to handle, so she was sent to live with her biological father. Since then, Oprah has come forward talking about how she had been mistreated and taken advantage of by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. As a young teenager, and after suffering for years, she then ran away from home, and a year later she became pregnant. Now, she gave birth to a son, but he was premature and passed away only a few weeks later. The Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007. Now, this was one of Oprah's passion projects. She founded it with $40 million of her own money, and she even hand-selected the 152 students who attended. Everything seemed perfect until it wasn't. Oprah seemed to handpick the students, but it turns out she didn't do a good enough job when it came to hiring the staff. Less than a year after the school had opened, 6 students came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tani Mekagobo of mistreating them. Virginia pleaded not guilty, and her trial was ongoing. She was arrested in November 2007 and released on bail, and she faced 17 different charges. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said, of returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating, experiences of my life," she said. Now, in the end, Oprah fired all the matrons no matter what.
Now, following the first trial, Oprah was sued by the headmistress of the school for defamation. She alleged that Oprah defamed her by implying that she was covering up the mistreatment going on at the school. However, this case was later settled outside of court before the arranged trial, according to CNN. Now, that's not all that happened there though. Speculation of numerous missing girls from the academy spread like wildfire across social media, and then in March of 2007, some parents complained because they were only allowed to visit their children once a month, and the girls were only allowed to use their cell phones on the weekends. One parent said, "It's a nightmare. We had only 2 hours to see my child. Surely this isn't a prison or an institution." Another mother said her homesick daughter was very upset over the rules. "Michelle phones me in tears sometimes, and then I don't know what to say to her," she said. "The school is currently still running, but I hope the girls are being treated better than they were before." Now, Oprah has always been made fun of for her weight, which is honestly just a shame. "It was public sport to make fun of me for 25 years. I have been blamed and shamed, and I blamed and shamed myself," she said. Now, one hurtful moment early in her career was when she landed on fashion critic Mr. Blackwell's list. "I was on the cover of some magazine and it said dumpy, frumpy, and downright lumpy," she said. "I didn't feel angry, I felt sad, I felt hurt, I swallowed the shame, I accepted that it was my fault," she said. Now, one controversial moment regarding her weight loss was in 1988 when she unveiled her new slim figure by taking off an oversized coat and wheeling out a wagon holding 67 pounds of animal fat, the amount she had lost in less than 5 months. Now, the episode drew huge attention, earning the highest ratings in the show's history. However, years later, Oprah expressed regret about it, stating that it was simply an ego trip and admitting that she eventually regained all the weight back. Then there's the fact for the past 10 years, Oprah has worked with Weight Watchers, a diet program that was all the craze. Although it has been criticized by a lot of people as being harmful and promoting disordered eating. With some people not liking her promoting this, she then came out in 2023 saying that she was using an unnamed weight loss medication, and that's how she was able to lose a lot of weight. So it wasn't the Weight Watchers, which made a lot of people feel lied to. Then in 2024, she decided to step down and stop working with Weight Watchers altogether. Many people are saying that she's a sellout and that everything she's ever stood for was a lie. And hey, I can't blame people for being upset over this. It's very likely that she's taking Ozempic or something Ozempic adjacent, which is actually a medication for people who are diabetics. A lot of normal everyday people can't afford to take this medication, and they also don't want to take it from people who really need it, aka diabetics. Now, I understand why people are so upset about this, as Oprah claimed for years that a specific weight loss program was working for her. She's lost a bunch of weight, and then she reveals it was all due to medication. I'm glad she's happy with her body, but it now feels like she tricked a lot of people into believing something that will never come true, and it's just scummy. Then there was her whole Maui fund. In August 2023, a series of wildfires broke out in Hawaii, predominantly on the island of Maui. The wind-driven fires prompted evacuations and caused widespread damage, ending the lives of at least 102 people and leaving 2 people missing. Now, after this happened, Oprah and The Rock came together to create their own fund to help victims, called People's Fund of Maui. It was to distribute cash directly to people who were affected by the wildfires on the Hawaiian island. Now, the 2 celebrities contributed an initial payment of $10 million to the fund and invited the public to contribute their own donations for the rest of it. Now, after it was launched, people started questioning why the celebs were asking everyday people to donate instead of their celebrity friends, or even them just funding it themselves. I mean, Oprah's net worth at the time was $2.5 billion. Yes, billion with a B. She could have given away so much of her own money, but she decided to ask others for help. Now, people started calling them out on social media, and instead of taking this critique, Oprah hit back and made things worse. All the online conversations being slammed, lies, conspiracy theories really took the focus off of what was the most important thing, and that was the people of Maui, she said on a CBS Mornings appearance. "I was on the ground talking to lots of people, trying to figure out how do I best help." Now, the 2 celebrities thought about how they have both given to charity their whole lives and felt like starting with $10 million worked because it was enough to kick things off before opening the Maui Wildfires Fund up to people who wanted to help but didn't know how to. "I was so excited about it. Then I got up the next morning and saw all this vitriol, and I was like, whoa, what happened here, she said. But yeah, people were angry, which again, I honestly don't blame them for. One person on TikTok called their video tone deaf, while another said, we can't afford it, but you can. And Oprah has also been called out recently for how she's treated her guests on her show, and one that stands out a lot is Michael Jackson. According to Oprah's website, 90 million people watched her February 1993 live primetime interview with Michael Jackson. It was his first interview in 14 years, and he used the opportunity to dispel rumors and explain the changes in his lifestyle and appearance. Michael said that his noticeable and gradually lightening skin wasn't the result of cosmetic and elective skin bleaching, but the effect of a genetic skin disease called vitiligo. Now, he also opened up about the mistreatment he suffered as a child at the hands of his father and former manager Joe Jackson, but one thing Michael refused to discuss with Oprah was his love life. He claimed to be dating Brooke Shields, and Oprah flat out asked him some very personal questions. "I'm a gentleman, that's something that's private," he said. "You can call me old-fashioned if you want, but to me that's very personal." Oprah then sensationalized a legal proceeding that Michael was going through, and his brother Randy Jackson came out and claimed that Oprah was airing episodes related to his brother's trial in 2005 to make him look bad in the public eye. Randy said that he believed that Oprah wanted to see Michael in jail, and apparently when Michael saw this, it was the last straw. It was then made clear that she could not and would not be trusted again. But after Michael passed away, Oprah was given access to Michael's former home after being granted an interview with his mother Catherine and his 3 children. Many people in the Jackson family were aware of Michael's distrust in Oprah, and they didn't want this interview to happen, and they especially disapproved of Oprah being allowed to film inside his home and conduct his kid's first interview ever, as Michael didn't like them being in the public eye. A source said Janet Jackson is furious. She thinks Oprah took advantage of Michael's children for TV ratings. Janet told her Michael would be heartsick that Oprah used his kids as pawns, they said to the National Enquirer at the time. The 2 women had a blistering blow-up during a telephone call on the day that the show was taped. When Oprah made it clear that she was going ahead with the interview, Janet screamed, "Oprah, you make me sick." Now, other family members of Michael have spoken out about their disdain for Oprah, and it seemed like Oprah was just trying to be an opportunist and didn't really care about anyone's feelings.
You guys know the actor and comedian Steve Martin, right? Well, he used to do a routine that went like this. You too can be a millionaire. It's easy. First, get $1 million. If you put that routine between hardcovers, you'd have a book called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. It's a self-help manifesto that basically says in a nutshell, what you think about, you bring about. The book's central premise, the law of attraction, is that positive thinking is the route to obtaining what you want in life, while negative thoughts will cause bad events to occur. I'll be honest with you, I read it years ago, and I won't share my opinions on it too much, but like anything, I did find some good and some bad. Well, there was a big controversy surrounding Oprah about it back in 2006 because it was the subject of 2 episodes on the Oprah Winfrey Show featuring a dream team of self-help gurus, all of whom contributed to the project. At the time, Oprah wasn't just endorsing it, she championed it, putting herself right in the middle of it all, and made it a prominent theme not only in her life, but it was all over her website, and she would reference it in many moments on her show and in interviews. Her involvement actually helped the book sell more than 2 million copies, which put it ahead of the new Harry Potter book at the time on the Amazon bestseller list. These 2 episodes, however, caused a lot of issues and controversy because Oprah's producers received a letter from one viewer named Kim Kardashian, who had received a breast cancer diagnosis shortly after the show aired. They were alarmed by how far she had taken this advice and inspiration. Now, Tingham wrote that she had decided to forego chemotherapy, instead choosing to follow the book's advice literally. The public got wind of this and went into a frenzy, saying that Oprah had promoted cult-like behavior and unrealistic expectations that could be extremely dangerous to a lot of people's lives. Now, Oprah brought Tinkham back on the show to set her straight and urged her not to ignore all the advantages of medical science. Tinkham, who went on to follow another New Age regime laid out in a book called The pH Miracle, actually passed away in December of 2010. Ultimately, Oprah stood by her position that, the law of attraction can affect positive change. The problem is, though, is that there have been many incidents similar to Kim's. Like, a lot of consumers took this advice very seriously, and it had a lot of negative impact on their lives. So not so good. And because of all the backlash, Oprah has tried to keep this incident a secret for years and has since removed both episodes on her channel and website to try and keep the whole debacle under wraps. During an appearance on CBS Mornings, which is actually co-hosted by her best friend Gayle King, Winfrey addressed the backlash that she faced. When asked about the reaction, she said, "Well, this is a really great point about being happier in the midst of an onslaught of being terrorized and vilified online. I will say this. I came out of this experience with so much more compassion for young kids because I was thinking, what if I didn't really know who I am? What if I didn't have the assurance of Invictus, that I am the master of my own fate and the captain of my soul?" And continued on by saying, "So all of the online attacks, lies, conspiracy theories really took the focus off of what was the most important thing, and that was the people of Maui." Now, this particular clip was shared on X, formerly known as Twitter, and she faced even further criticism because she was then accused of playing the victim. You know, one user wrote, "Oprah playing the victim while trying to sell her book? Gross." Now, despite all of the backlash, Oprah's popularity on social media soared. She gained more than like 110,000 followers between Instagram and TikTok alone. Another person actually wrote, "They're giving Oprah more airtime playing the victim than the real victims. Sad." Another person wrote, "Oprah playing the victim and saying she was terrorized online. Gee, I wonder how the people of Hawaii must feel." And one person hoped Oprah would read all of these comments and said, "Oprah, in case you read this, you are not the victim here. Talk to the people who lost everything. That is where our sympathies and prayers are." Now, a viral TikTok video that has been viewed millions of times made several allegations. They include that Winfrey hired a private firefighting team before the fire spread, hired private security to prevent people seeking shelter at her property, and had previously bought her land for pennies on the dollar. When asked about the viral TikTok, a spokesperson for Oprah said, all of the allegations in the videos were false. The original video has since been removed, of course, from the platform. However, reposts with several millions of views are still available. Now, remember the infamous Oprah episode in 2004 where she gifted literally everyone cars? Of course you do. Well, it wasn't so black and white as it seemed. What she didn't want everyone to know is just how difficult it actually was for the audience to be able to drive off in one. It was Oprah's Favorite Things episode. Now, she surprised her studio audience by giving each one of them a brand new Pontiac G6 sedan. The episode, which was part of Oprah's 19th season, featured her favorite products and gifts of the year. At the end of the show, Oprah announced she was giving away 276 cars, each valued at about $28,000. Now, the surprise gift was met with tears, cheers, and screams of excitement, of course. The episode actually became one of the most memorable moments in Oprah's show's history, and it was widely covered in the media. To this day, it has been literally one of the most parodied clips, and people just can't seem to get enough of it. Well, as exciting as everyone was to know they'd just been gifted a car, what followed after is that they were hit with a hard slap of reality when they were told that it wasn't quite totally free. They were then told if they wanted to drive it off the lot, they'd first have to pay about $7,000 in taxes, which, let's be honest, like who, especially around Christmas time, has a free $7,000 just sitting around ready to be dropped on a new car's taxes? If you're already planning on buying a new car, cool, totally get it. But being realistic, I would say more than half of her guests did not have that type of money just readily available. Now, on the plus side, the audience was allowed to choose if they wanted to just take the cash value of the car instead, which, hey, like not bad to go to a taping of the Oprah show and walk out about $28,000 richer, right?